The water was eerily still, the ripples spreading slowly from Karma's new resting place, where I had just released the little floating box with the pink envelopes and Karen's photo. I watched as it drifted toward the far end of the lake. No fireworks, no dramatic splash, just a quiet farewell, a final act of letting go. I didn't need to record it. Some things I learned were better left unspoken, just understood. Weeks passed, and the lake's silence settled in. Deep, peaceful, almost unnatural after all the chaos. No pink envelopes, no fines taped to the dock. No HOA spies paddling around with clipboards like it was a game. For the first time in over a year, I could breathe. I could just be. But peace, I knew, was always fragile. I kept my eyes on the water just in case. Because I'd learned that Karen, no matter how defeated, had a way of lurking in the shadows, waiting for her moment to strike back. One evening, I saw movement out of the corner of my eye. A dark shape slipping across the lake's surface. Slow, deliberate. My heart skipped a beat. Not Karen this time, something else, something bigger. I squinted, trying to make sense of the silhouette. It looked like a boat, but not Karma. A different shape with a strange glow underneath. I reached for my binoculars, trying to get a better look. That's when I saw the faint shimmer of lights, like a low glow from beneath the water. I froze. It wasn't just a boat. It was something more, an object, possibly some kind of submerged device or worse. The glow pulsed once, then disappeared. The shape moved closer, silent as a shadow. I stayed still, clutching my phone, heart pounding. Was this Karen's last move, or had she been plotting something even darker? Suddenly a faint hum filled the air, low and steady, like a drone. My eyes widened. That wasn't just a boat, that was a machine, a device, possibly an underwater drone or a submerged camera, and it was heading straight for Karma. I knew I had to act fast. I pulled out my phone and activated the emergency signal I'd hidden inside Karma's GPS. The tracker was silent until now, but I had programmed it to alert me if anything came within a certain radius. The moment it buzzed, I saw the blinking. Not close, too close. Karen's lurking shadow had turned into a real threat. Someone or something was trying to surveil, to stake out, perhaps even to sabotage. I had no idea what was beneath the water, but I knew one thing. Whatever it wasn't friendly. I grabbed the boat's emergency flare, flicked it on, and aimed it at the water. Bright red light cut through the dusk, illuminating the dark shape beneath. It recoiled, then vanished. The hum stopped abruptly. My mind raced. Had I just foiled Karen's last attempt? Or was this the beginning of something even worse? The lake's calm was deceiving. Beneath its surface, a storm was brewing, the kind I couldn't see but could feel in my bones. I stayed on alert, eyes fixed on the water. I knew she hadn't, just disappeared. Karen was still out there, plotting her next move. And I was ready, because I'd learned that in this game silence was often louder than words. What I didn't realize then was that the real threat was only just waking up, waiting for the perfect moment to strike when I least expected it. The lake had secrets, and apparently so did Karen, and I was about to find out just how deep those secrets went. The water suddenly erupted behind Karma, a deafening splash that shattered the calm like a bomb. I didn't hesitate. I grabbed my phone, racing to activate the GPS tracker's emergency alert, but I already knew it was too late. Whatever was down there had come up for a reason, and I could see it now, an ominous shadow breaking the surface, rippling toward Karma with purpose. The glow beneath the water flickered again, like a ghostly eye peering out from the depths. I could feel the cold sweat on my forehead as I stared at it. This wasn't just some underwater drone or Karen's petty revenge. No, this was something else, something bigger, smarter, something that had been waiting in the dark. I shouted into my phone, but the line was dead. No signal, no warning, just the water and that strange, pulsating glow. The shape beneath the surface was growing closer, and I saw the faint outline of a metallic hull, rough and battered, but definitely man-made. Whatever it wasn't just fishing gear or a prank. It was a piece of something much more sinister. I took a step back, heart pounding in my chest, and watched as the shadow broke the surface fully. An object, a vessel, perhaps an underwater drone Or worse, something designed to spy, to sabotage, maybe even to attack. I remembered the faint hum I'd heard earlier, the low drone that had vibrated through the air like a warning. It was coming from that thing. Before I could think, a second splash erupted, this time closer, and I realized with a jolt that it was moving fast. Too fast. I reached for Karma's emergency flare, but my hands trembled. I flicked it on, sending a bright red beam into the murky water. She had cut through the gloom like a spear, illuminating the underside of the vessel, and then I saw the shape fully, an outline of what looked like a small submarine, battered but functional. Its lights flickered irregularly, like a heartbeat, and I realized this was no ordinary device. It was military-grade, probably stolen or hacked, and it was meant to be unseen. My mind spun. Karen. Had she gone this far, or was someone else behind this? The answer hit me like a punch. This wasn't just her game anymore. Someone else had joined in, someone dangerous, someone with a plan I hadn't even guessed. The submarine dove. Suddenly, slipping beneath Karma and vanishing into the shadows. I shouted again, but no one was around to hear. I was alone with the water's dark secret. The glow flickered once more, then disappeared altogether. Silence returned, heavier than before. I stared at the spot where the shadow had been, trying to catch my breath. My hands still shook as I fumbled for my phone, desperately trying to send a distress call. No signal, no help coming. Just the water, the night, and the knowledge that whatever had been lurking beneath was still out there, watching, waiting. I knew then, this was just the beginning. Karen's petty games had led to something far darker, and I was caught right in the middle. Whatever was down there, I had only a moment before it decided to come back. And next time it wouldn't be just an underwater drone or a shadow. It would be something deadly. The lake had secrets, and now I knew I had stirred them up. I didn't turn away, I didn't run. I stayed frozen, eyes fixed on the water, waiting for the next sign, the next move. Because I didn't need to guess what was coming, only to prepare for it. And I knew deep down that whatever was lurking in those depths wasn't finished yet, not by a long shot. The water erupted again, this time with even more force, splashing Karma's sides as if trying to shake her loose from her moorings. I clutched the wheel tighter, heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. Whatever was beneath the surface had come back, more aggressive, more determined. I could see the flickering glow again, brighter and more erratic like a heartbeat. Racing out of control, suddenly a loud crack split the air, metal tearing, metal bending. The water churned violently, and I saw a jagged silhouette break through the surface right next to Karma. It was a massive, battered piece of machinery, half submerged, with wires trailing like veins in its broken hull. And on the surface, a faint voice, barely a whisper, cut through the chaos. Game over. It was Karen. Somehow she was down there, or at least her voice was. But her face wasn't. No, this wasn't her voice, not entirely. It was distorted, mechanical, like a ghost trapped inside a machine. Her lips moved, but I couldn't hear her, not clearly. Instead, the water around the wreckage shimmered with a strange, humming energy, something unnatural, something alive. Froze. My mind scrambled to process what I was seeing. Karen's face, her voice was coming from that wreckage. It was like her spirit had become a part of this monstrous contraption, an angry, vengeful thing that refused to die. I realized she had been down there all along, buried in her obsession, and somehow she had turned herself into a part of this underwater monster. The wires sparked, and the broken machinery roared back to life, a terrible, grinding noise that echoed through the lake. Karma shuddered, and I felt a jolt through her hull, like she was fighting for her life. I knew I had seconds. I had to get out, fast. I yelled into my phone, desperately trying to send a distress signal. No signal, not a single bar. The entire lake was cut off from the outside world. I looked at Karma's dashboard, at the GPS and the tracker. The dots were tangled, spinning wildly, as if trying to escape. This wasn't just a ghost story or some prank anymore. It was real. It was alive. And it was hunting me. Then I saw her. Karen's face again, distorted and flickering on the broken screen of Karma's dash. Her eyes, cold and relentless, staring straight into mine. You thought you'd stop me. Her voice crackled through the static. This isn't over. Not yet. A surge of power burst from the wreckage, an explosion of sparks and debris, and Karma lurched violently. I was thrown against the steering wheel, struggling to keep control. I knew I couldn't outrun it. I had to fight. I grabbed the nearest thing I could find, an old metal rod, and smashed the dashboard. Sparks flew, and suddenly the machinery went dark. But the voice, Karen's voice, kept echoing. You can't silence me. I'm part of this lake now, and I will never leave. Looked around desperately. The water around Karma was boiling, as if something beneath was trying to break free. My mind raced. I remembered the old stories, the legends of the lake, of the things buried beneath, of the darkness that had always haunted this place, but was buried deep, waiting. This wasn't just Karen's obsession anymore. It was something else. Something ancient. Something that had awoken when I disturbed the surface. I realized with a cold dread that I had unleashed something far worse than a petty feud or a vengeful woman. I had opened a door that could never be closed. I grabbed Karma's radio, screaming into it, "Help! There's something down here, something alive." But the static was all I could get. No rescue was coming. Only the relentless, humming pulse. From beneath the water growing louder, closer, and then the lake went silent. A heavy, suffocating silence. No splashes, no hums, just an oppressive quiet that pressed down on me like a weight. I stared at Karma's flickering screen, waiting for the inevitable, because I knew deep in my bones that whatever had been lurking beneath was no longer just a ghost. It was a force, something ancient and angry, and it was coming for me. I pushed Karma's throttle all the way forward, desperate to escape, but the water around us rippled and twisted, like some invisible hand was pulling us back. The surface shimmered, and I saw it, an enormous shadow, darker than the night, rising from the depths, blocking out the stars. I realized then the lake wasn't just water, it was a living abyss, a prison for what lurked beneath. And I had just thrown open the gates. The last thing I saw before everything went black was the monstrous shape looming above Karma, with Karen's face twisted into a cruel smile, whispering one final chilling phrase. You can't escape what's been buried forever.